Hey there, Chandler Stevens with the Soma School, and today I want to talk you through a more robust approach to developing mobility. One that encompasses both a neurosomatic side of the equation and the musculoskeletal side of the equation, so that all in all we find a whole body approach to developing active range of motion. And so what we'll do is we'll find a way to very quickly expand range of motion within a joint and then teach the body how to use that range of motion. See, when we're working with a living system, we need to keep in mind that if we are not playing nicely with the nervous system, it's going to lock down our available range of motion. And so what the nervous system cares about first and foremost is safety. It wants to maintain integrity of this living system. The second thing it cares about is function. So if we can put our body in an unfamiliar position and demonstrate safety and function, then we find a really powerful way to start a dialogue with the nervous system and with the cells within those soft tissues. So we not only take the brakes off, reduce and desensitize that stretch reflex, that myotatic reflex, but we also instill lasting physiological changes to the soft tissue. So we're working both with the structure and the function all in one. It's a beautiful system, and the best part about it is that you can apply this to any tissues within the body, any positions of restriction, once you know the theory and the framework. So I'm going to walk you through here. There are a few steps to the equation, and then once you have the theory down, you can apply it yourself, apply it with students, and you'll find that very quickly you increase usable range of motion and it lead to lasting physiological changes if you apply this consistently. So to demonstrate, I'm going to come into a hamstring stretch. And what I'm going to do is start in basically a passive stretch position. And so I'm not going to make you sit through this entire part, but when you are practicing yourself, I want you to hold this passive stretch for 2 minutes. The 2-minute threshold in scientific studies is what seems to be the benchmark where we start to wake up the cells and say, hey, there is something worth paying attention to here. Anything less than 2 minutes and we're not actually creating as much beneficial change as we could. So you're going to be holding in this passive stretch for about 2 minutes. That may seem like a long time, so I'm going to give you something else you can do during that 2 minutes. The first thing to focus on when you find a position of tension here is to make sure that you are still breathing. And so we don't want to lock the air down in the belly, and we don't want to be hyperventilating, breathing too rapidly. See if you can maintain a regular, steady cadence of breath. If you need to pay any particular attention to part of it, just focus on a full exhalation. Let the air go out of the lungs, and you'll find that you can actually sip air back in the lungs. And so breathing is first and foremost a way to tell the nervous system this is a safe place to be. It's a way to reduce neural tone in what might be a strung out system. So breathing is a good place to start. The second thing I want you to do is begin to orient yourself in space. Looking left and right, looking up and down. We've already talked before about the power of orienting the body, how much the eyes really govern tension through the rest of the system. And so being able to look around through space is another powerful way to tell the nervous system, hey, this is a safe place to be. So as you are breathing, as you are orienting, as you're approaching maybe the minute and a half mark, you might start to actively reach through space as well. Again, this is a way that I can start to demonstrate to the nervous system, hey, this is both a safe and a functional place to be. I can reach up behind me, I can reach in front of me, I can start to reach through this kinesphere around me and demonstrate, again, to my living somatic system that this is okay. So once I've spent about 2 minutes in position, here's where some of the magic happens on a physiological level. What I'm going to do is inhale and pack a little bit of air into my midsection. Here's where we're going to start to willfully cultivate tension. So I'm going to pack air into my midsection. As I do so, I'm going to slowly, gradually start to engage these stretched tissues. If I'm stretching my hamstring in this position, I'm gradually going to start to engage those hamstrings, in this case, kicking down into the chair that my foot is on. So I might inhale, pack air into the midsection, and begin to gradually ramp up contraction of these stretched tissues. So now I am in my end range of motion, and I am teaching my nervous system that I can control and generate force in this range of motion through an isometric contraction. As I ramp up that isometric contraction, I'm going to spread tension throughout the body. This is drawn from the pails and rails process of functional range conditioning. And so I'm going to cultivate full body tension as I am pressing my heel down, ramping up contraction of these stretched tissues. I'm going to hold that full body isometric contraction for about 10 seconds and then actively engage the opposite side of that joint, pulling myself deeper into position. And I'm going to see if I can hold and maintain tension in that position as well, engaging all of the tissues on the closing angle of this joint. And then I can release. And once again, in this new end range, I might start to orient in space. I might start to reach forward. But you can see right off the bat, this is quite a bit closer than I started out. Whereas I started out about here at my kind of soft end range of motion. Now I'm way down here. And that's just from an application of one cycle here. So you can imagine what would happen if I consistently applied this over time or went through multiple repetitions of this within one training session. So as a recap, this applies to any tissue in the body. This is a combination of some developmental movement, neurosensory exercises, and the functional range conditioning exercises of isometric loading. When you put those together, when you bridge that gap, we find a powerful way to work with the nervous system and the musculoskeletal system as one cohesive unit. So here's the sequence. Find a position of restriction, whether that's in your overhead position, whether that is your hamstrings, your hips, whatever the case may be. Find a position of restriction, a place where you can feel a stretch. When you've found it, hang out there for about 2 minutes. Breathe. Orient in space. Reach through space. Again, do that for about 2 minutes. Once you've hit that 2-minute threshold, pack air into the midsection and begin to engage those stretched tissues, slowly at first. Gradually ramp up a full body contraction towards near maximum contraction over the course of about 15 seconds. So in this case, I was pressing my foot down, engaging the hamstrings, really trying to teach my nervous system that this is safe, this is functional, I can generate force. After you've ramped up that contraction, actively contract the antagonists, the opposite side of the joint. In that case, I tried to actively pull myself deeper into position. So if you need to break it down here, we're going to hang out, passive stretch. We're going to resist that stretch. And then you're going to actively pull deeper into that stretch. And you'll find very quickly, if you apply this intelligently, you can open up a lot of space within a joint in a small amount of time. But the magic comes from consistent application over a period of time. That's where we get the lasting neurological and neuromuscular effects from this. So we teach the body that that range of motion is safe. We teach it that it's functional. Then you can put it into work in whatever your practice may be, whether that's weightlifting, whether that's an asana practice, whatever the case is. This is a beautifully robust system that can be applied to any tissue in the body.